It's Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. Since 2010, your weekly source for independent New York Red Bulls news and opinion. Now, from the Joe Goldstein studio, here's your host, Mark Fishkin.
Hey, it's Mark at Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup, flying solo as the Red Bulls get set to play the last match of the 2025 season. Before we get any further, please the liking, the subscribing. We very much appreciate it. Today on Seeing Red, we're going to do a quick run through of what to expect against Columbus on Saturday, decision day, and then we're going to go straight to some emails and we'll call it a day and send you off on your way. A few notes beforehand. First of all, there was a lot of furor in the MLS media world over the weekend where it became evident that MLS is using AI to write very poor game recaps on the league website. The post about the generative AI game recaps were met with near universal disdain by most people in the MLSO sphere. Including many of the writers that you read on a regular basis, basically saying, that's how I cut my teeth, by getting paid $100 or not too much more per game recap, telling the story of an MLS game and not simply reading off the stats that occurred during the game is might be considered a bit of an anachronism, a bit of a lost art. The notion that someone can watch a 7-minute video and get the idea of what happened in any particular game versus a well-written summary telling the story of what actually happened. I know I'm from the 1900s, but frankly, I think it's really important that the league spend whatever it can, whatever it does, to have well-written game stories, because I believe at the end of the day, that's how I believe that people can get a real understanding of what happened in any particular day. Not everyone has 7 minutes to watch a video, but through a 90 to 120 second read of a game story, you really can get a sense of what happened, including quotes, including nuance that simply a creative retelling of, in the 4th minute, this person earned a corner kick. I think it's important. You watchers and listeners know how I feel about MLS media to begin with. So that's point one. Point two, there is a Red Bulls playoff game at home this Sunday. It's Red Bulls 2, who won the Eastern Conference of MLS Next Pro. They will be taking on Carolina Core, the independent MLS team owned by former Metro star and DC United and U.S. men's national team Eddie Pope. So that's Sunday at 7. The weather looks decent. Please come on out to Montclair Soccer Park and support Red Bulls 2. This is most likely the only opportunity you'll have to experience live home soccer playoff action this October and perhaps into November. So please come on out. All right. So Saturday is decision day. Decision day, of course, every MLS team will be playing. All of the Eastern teams play at 6 p.m. All the Western teams, I believe, play at 9 p.m. The Red Bulls, of course, have absolutely nothing to play for, just playing out the string. But let's break down this week's opponent, and it's the Columbus Crew for the second time in 6 weeks. Saturday at 6, Red Bulls visit Columbus at lower.com field to conclude the disappointing 2025 season. Columbus is a disappointing 13-8-12 for 51 points, 9th in the East. They have clinched a playoff spot. They're 8 points above the Red Bulls, but they can finish as high as 7th and get out of the play-in game with a win if both the Fire and Orlando both lose. They've scored 52 and conceded 50 in 33 matches. They're only 8-3-5 at home, which is the 7th best home record in the East. The Red Bulls finished 10-4-3 at home, so they were a much better home team. Some interesting stats: they hold the ball as well as just about anybody other than San Diego FC. They make accurate passes. They lead and nearly lead the league in touches in the opponent's box. This is a possession-oriented team that kills you by 1,000,000 passes per game. They hold on to the ball and they buzz around the opponent's box. They are not a long ball team. They are dead last in MLS for accurate long balls per match. So we anticipate Wilfred Nancy's team to hold on to the ball. Their last 5, this is not a team that has been charging through the playoffs to the playoffs, but rather stumbling across the finish line. They had a wild 5-4 win in Atlanta, not a playoff team. Then they took a 3-2 loss at NYC at Yankee Stadium when they allowed a goal in the 94th minute. They had Toronto at home, did not make the playoffs with a 1-1 draw. That's incredibly disappointing. They then went to Chicago and got drubbed 2-0. Not great, as the Fire are red hot, as we know about that. And then last time out, a 1-1 draw at Orlando. Again, 4 of the last 5 on the road for Columbus. Saturday's game is meaningful for a couple of reasons, not only for Columbus trying to get up the Eastern table, but it's the final MLS regular season match for Darlington Nagbe. His potentially second to last home game of his career. He's had an absolutely incredible career, arguably the most successful midfielder in the history of the league, winning 4 MLS Cups with 3 different teams and 2 with the Crew. His influence will certainly be missed, and obviously there'll be a bit of a struggle to replace him. And then Columbus has been kind of sliding down the table, but Diego Rossi has been hurt through most of that. He hasn't featured since the 5-4 win in Atlanta, and he's so important to Columbus this season with 19 goals and 4 assists. So he is back in the lineup. Daniel Gazdag is on this team and really kind of struggled to make an impact in his absence. So the fact that Rossi's healthy and ready to go is a good thing for the Crew. This is the 97th all-time meeting between these two OG 1996 rivals. The Red Bulls trail slightly in the all-time series. These teams played to a scoreless draw in late August, and at the time, the notion was that this was a really good result for the Red Bulls, holding a strong team like Columbus scoreless. But at the end of the day, no goals, no hope for the Red Bulls in that match. The Red Bulls haven't beaten the Crew in the last 4 regular season games. The last time the Red Bulls won in the series was back in March of 2023, where Luquinhas and Dante Van Zier scored after Matan got up early for the Crew in a 2-1 Red Bulls win. All time, the Red Bulls at Columbus 16-28-6, which could be worse. New York can win and has won in Ohio before. The last time these teams met in Columbus, of course, was Felipe Carvalho's lone goal in the first round of the MLS Cup playoffs last year that helped propel New York to MLS Cup itself. That was the first game of that series. All-time leading scorer against the Crew is BWP, St. Bradley, and then Emil Forsberg has 3 in terms of active players. Here's what Wilfred Nancy's lineup could look like. Those 2 wingbacks, both Arvston and Herrera, you could call this almost a 5-2-2-1. We're calling it a 3-4-2-1. It should be on the screen. Patrick Schulte, American goalkeeper, is 24 years old. He looks to be on the outside of the U.S. men's national team. 3 clean sheets and conceded 41 goals in 28 games. That's not a great season for Schulte. Around the back, Max Arvston, who's improved his U.S. men's national team profile with 6 and 5. Malte Amundsen with 2 and 2, former NYC. Sean Zawadzki has 2 goals from the center back, and Steven Moreira from Cape Verde with a goal and 2 assists. And congratulations to Cape Verde for qualifying for the World Cup. Well done. Marcelo Herrera on the right with 4 and 3. The 2 center mids, Dylan Chambos, a 28-year-old Frenchman with a goal and 5 assists. And of course, Darlington Nagbe, who does not have a point this year, and it does not matter one bit because he is the holding midfielder and the glue that holds all of the Columbus attack together. Up top, it's Lassi Lapalainen with a goal and 3 assists. Hugo Picard on the right, summer signing, 22 years old from France, with 7 games played so far and not a point yet. But up top, Diego Rossi, the man for Columbus, with 19 goals and 4 assists. Mo Farsi's likely out. Wessam Abu Ali is out. Rudy Camacho is out. So, I mean, this is a match unlike that we saw it last week at home. Now we're seeing it on the road. The Red Bulls with absolutely nothing to play for, just playing out the string. We'll hear from Sandra Schwartz later today, Thursday, but I don't really, I'm not expecting anything, not a thing from New York. I think they go out and play. I think they drop this game, I think 1-0 or 2-0. And then the tough questions get asked about who stays and who goes, whether there will be any major repercussions for the Red Bulls for missing the playoffs for the first time, whether those repercussions extend into next year. We'll see. We learned earlier this week that the Red Bulls will not take part in the Coachella Valley Invitational in California during preseason. So it remains to be seen what New York's preseason plans might look like in 2026. But not making the trip out to California is definitely a change from what we've seen over the last few years. Again, when we're back on Seeing Red, we're going to get into some emails, so please keep it here. Thanks. Back on Seeing Red, the New York Soccer Roundup. Next week, we're going to have another one of our full season grades show, where hopefully Mike Batista and Daniel Rebane and Gustavo Guimaraes will contribute his grades, and we will look back at every single New York Red Bull that saw the field and give our thoughts on how each and every player did for the 2025 season. And then we'll most likely take a little bit of a break until there's news to share. But you can write us, nevertheless, anytime at seeingredny@gmail.com. We've got 2 emails to share. The first from Al Ju in Glen Ridge, New Jersey. Al says, Mark, a lot of people say they're going to stop going to games and cancel their memberships to show their frustration with the club, with the idea that the club will feel the bite to the pocketbook and make changes. But what if the front office doesn't care? When we were winning shields, we were still a niche product in the New York market. And when we had stars like Thierry Henry, we were a niche product in the market. Even after NYCFC won the cup, they are still a niche product in the market. And certainly they don't have the support that teams like LAFC or Miami get. Maybe the club has decided that no matter whether we are good or not, we will never really make a ton of money in the New York market. So why spend money to win when winning isn't profitable? The only reason to keep the team in their eyes is develop young talent for sale and for some advertising. I wonder if the only thing that would have made our team relevant is if we signed Leo Messi. Now, there are a million reasons why that could never have happened, and I'm not sure he would have been a good fit soccer-wise, but judging from the amount of kids I see around here wearing pink Miami jerseys, Messi seems to have attracted a lot of fans that would not have been fans before. Now, many of them will stop being fans when Messi leaves, but if even a quarter of them remain fans, that would be great for Miami's long-term success. Unfortunately, I think Messi is the only star big enough among even casual fans to have that effect, and he's taken. So what, if anything, can Red Bull do to be relevant so that they have an incentive to be good? That's Al from Glen Ridge. I think there are a couple of interesting points, Al, points that we've certainly spoken about on Seeing Red over the years. The idea of relevance, the idea of profitability, and the idea of effort by the Red Bulls. As you noted, even NYCFC winning the cup didn't make them quote unquote relevant. And I'm not really sure what your yardstick for relevance is in a city that has 12 or 13 professional sports teams. If your call for relevance is that the team is as popular as the Jets, the Giants, the Mets, or the Yankees, I don't know if that's going to be the case in the next 75 years, even with Messi playing. I just don't think soccer is that meaningful here in this country, to the point where you're not just talking about the majority of soccer fans being, let's say, Red Bull fans, but the majority of sports fans being Red Bull fans, and then the majority of human beings in the market being aware that the Red Bulls exist. I'm not sure that, even if Messi was here, I would agree that obviously those Miami Messi shirts you would see would all be Red Bulls Messi shirts. But I don't even know if that translates into, well, if Messi's here, the team is certainly selling out on a regular basis. But I don't know if the team is a cultural phenomenon. I'm not sure that the team is a cultural phenomenon in Miami. I'm not sure that LAFC is the team you think it is in LA. Um, I think it's great. I think a lot of people are paying attention, but I don't think MLS is where you think MLS should be in New York, in LA with two teams. I think there's just too much going on and too many sports options. And I don't think MLS as a whole is where it's at. Now, in terms of making money, I think there's a lot to that point. The idea of the Red Bulls being a profitable operation at a time when the academy is not necessarily generating big sales on the regular, with the understanding that the team is making a major investment in the training complex, which is due to open next year, right? And I think once that investment is done, Red Bull Global Soccer is really going to insist upon regular production out of the academy to earn back that investment. I don't believe the team is necessarily profitable spending the way they have spent with bringing in Forsberg and Choupo-Moting, based on the typical 17 to 18,000 fans a game that they get. Although I will tell you that um, you know, upgrading MLS with the moving the press box and whatever this hype house upsell opportunity is. I think they realize that they've got to squeeze more money out of the human beings that do come and watch games there. And I think that adding more luxury experiences is a part of that, for better or worse. Also, keep in mind the team is called the New York Red Bulls, and every time somebody says that, Red Bull benefits from that. What if it can become relevant so they have an incentive to be good? Yeah, I think we've touched upon this. I mean, I don't know what your yardstick for relevance is. I really don't. Is it as big as the NHL? Certainly, the Red Bulls are never going to be as big as the Rangers or the Devils. And that's just where MLS soccer is in this region. As you and I both know, Al, there are hundreds of thousands of soccer fans that live in this market that will not watch MLS soccer because they just don't believe, even after 30 years, that the quality of the league is good enough. And there's nothing that can do to change their minds, but their kids are a different story. Thanks for the note. Here's longtime friend of the show, Corey Jameson, who has been listening since moment one of Seeing Red. I was listening to your previous episode, 632, as I do every week, and you discussed the 2009 offseason and the many changes that came prior to 2010, which you rightly pointed out were then timed for the then Red Bull Arena opening. Similarly, next summer's World Cup will focus attention on soccer for a month straight, with ticket prices sky high and a limited number of seats and games to go to. There'll be both unmet demand and a lot of eyeballs on soccer in the U.S. after the game's end, and MLS knows this, and Red Bull knows this. 2026 would be an excellent time to have a stacked team of 3 DPs firing on all cylinders and providing an entertaining product to affordably consume right here in their backyard, or at the very least to make a signing here in the summer transfer window to bring in a Thierry Henry level player that can lift the squad and put fans in the seats. Some MLS teams are going to lean in hard to that flurry of attention and use it to grow the fan base. Will the capital expenses for the training center winding down as it finishes in 26? It would be great to invest in the product on the field to take advantage of this opportunity. Can they? Yes. Will they? Likely not. But hope springs eternal, and I really hope the team is given access to ye old Austrian checkbook to shake out a few dollars for the squad next year. It would be sad to waste this opportunity. Thanks again for all you do. That's Corey Jameson, and I agree with you 100%, Corey. I mean, this has been the story, right? Are there going to be major repercussions for missing the playoffs? I don't think there will be. Does that mean the team will step up in 2026? Well, we already know they're not going out to Coachella at the beginning of the year. The real question is going to be, are they going to add to this team? Is Timo Werner going to come? If not Timo Werner, who? Timo Werner is not the global name that will put butts in seats, as we know. There were plenty of Arsenal fans that would not come out to see Thierry Henry play at Red Bull Arena when he was here, or were aware he was here. So, yeah, I mean, this is the question, the eternal question. Are you going to do everything you can to bring these fans an MLS Cup, or just not that? We've come to an end of an abridged Seeing Red, episode 633. Thank you to Zach Feldman for stats. He has a new pod. It's called Unfiltered. You might want to check it out on the Red Bulls. It's Unfiltered with the red capitalized. But nevertheless, thank you so much for joining, and we'll be back next week to wrap up the season with a bow and give a whole lot of full season grades. And so we hope you'll join us then. And if you can, please come on out to Montclair on Sunday night and support Red Bulls too, because they deserve your support. And you'll see the stars tomorrow today. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.